Good morning and welcome to this special Content Exchange customer webinar. I'm Aaron Gillette, Marketing Director at TownNews. Jeff Carney, Director of Content Programs, and Isaac Alter, Content Syndication Manager for TownNews, will be joined today by special guests Andy Meyers, CEO of HealthDay, and Ken Romano, Vice President of Stacker. We'll review the wealth of free content that's available via the exchange and how you can use it to augment the journalism you're currently producing. We'll also get an overview of new content offerings from HealthDay, the world's largest health news service, and take a look at Stacker's data-driven story newswires and evergreen research features. Finally, we'll talk about how we're evolving the content exchange to provide you with more packaged content and reduce your workload. We have lots of ground to cover. If you have a question, please feel free to enter it into the Q&A box and we'll answer it at the end of the presentation. That's all I've got for now. Take it away, Jeff.
All right, thank you everybody for joining us on what is, I'm sure, a busy Thursday morning. So our goals for the exchange, we thought we'd start out on today's call with, especially since many of you on the call might be new to Town News or to the exchange, we thought we'd take a minute to talk about our original mission and how we're evolving. So the exchange was created in 2016. The exchange today is more than a free content source for our CMS customers. It was originally established to help you build audience and revenue by distributing the content you create. But with time, your needs have changed and we're evolving to hopefully help address those. So one quick example, we're working hard to add more content sources and topics to our offerings. We're especially focused on content that complements your quality local reporting efforts. This focus will help increase scale of content on your sites. Small sites will appear larger to your audiences and medium to larger websites will even be more robust with a wider array of content. As for helping expand the reach of your content, don't forget the exchange takes advantage of canonical URLs. So your content appearing on other Town News customer sites will help increase your search rankings. Combined, these efforts will result in increased page views, engagement, and revenue, and as Aaron said at the top, at no cost to you. So let's go ahead. I want to hand off to Isaac Alter to talk a little bit more about our content providers.
Thanks, Jeff. So in addition to all the content that comes in from Town News sites to the Content Exchange, we also offer content from 10 different third-party partners. These partners cover a wide range of topics, including entertainment, health news, political coverage and opinion, lifestyles, stock market news, and more. These partners also offer a wide range of multimedia content, including a really large number of daily videos from CNN, as well as collections from our partners Stacker and Bang Showbiz. We've also made it easier than ever for you to find the content that you want by placing all of these third-party partners into their own unique sections, as well as putting unique keywords onto that content. So if you only want content from a couple of partners, you can search very easily to find what you want and set up importers to import the content you want onto your site. We also wanted to take this time to remind you that our digital rights management software ensures that any content that you pick up from the exchange, you have the right to use. And on the flip side of that, we can use that software to make sure you're only sending the content that you want to share into the Content Exchange. So now I'm going to hand it back to Jeff to introduce our newest partner, HealthDay.
So thank you, Isaac. And by the way, quick reminder, please, if you've got questions, hearing from Andy, hearing from Ken, or anything that we have to say, add those to chat or wait until the end and we'll open it up to questions at that time. So now let me introduce Andy Meyers, the CEO with HealthDay, to talk more about their offerings that we're now including in the exchange. Andy, take it away.
Thank you very much, Jeff. Can you hear me? Is the sound okay?
Absolutely.
Great. We're very excited to be taking part in the Town News Exchange. Just a little bit of background about HealthDay, if you want to hop to the next slide. So to start, who is HealthDay? HealthDay is the largest health news wire service in the market. We're like an AP News for health news. What makes HealthDay unique is that unlike a lot of the other health content providers that are out there, people like WebMD or Mayo Clinic, we are first and foremost health content providers for others rather than a media destination in ourselves. What that means is we have to take that extra step to make sure that our content is meeting the needs of our clients. And what we found is there are a couple of different niches that we fall into, but they all tend to respond to the growing demand for the latest health news information. We've come to evolve over the years as kind of a content provider to the content providers, which is why we're so excited about the alliance with TownNews. So to just give you an example, WebMD obviously is a very well-known and well-respected health media, but they tend to focus a little bit more on evergreen content. One of our main strengths is creating health news. So they supplement their content with our health news. If you look at someone like US News and World Report, on the other hand, there's a company that obviously is in the news business, but they're not necessarily as focused on health news. And that's a place where they use our news to help fill out their health news offering. As we look towards the relationship with TownNews, we see a similar synergy. Obviously, you all are specialized in local news, but there may also be a number of pressing health issues that you want to cover. We're hoping that you will turn to us for that support. So if you want to hop to the next slide. As I said, what makes us unique is that we're solely focused on providing content for others, but because of that, our business depends on our credibility. You can be rest assured that all of our stories are impartial from any financial interest or ties. We have no ties to the pharmaceutical industries or other industries that are paying for our content. We do not run sponsored content in any form. All of our content is based on peer-reviewed medical journals or releases from well-recognized medical institutions, whether they be research hospitals or places like AHA or the American Diabetes Association. You can skip over to the next slide. Here's just an example. As I said, WebMD, it's an example of someone that you would think would be a health provider, health content creator and provider on their own, but they turn to us for the health news. And you can skip to the next slide. The other thing, just to quickly talk a little bit about our offerings. Our core product is our consumer news feed. Our consumer news feed consists of 15 stories a day, 5 days a week. We do 2 stories on the weekend. Each story is somewhere between 450 and 600 words long. We always include all of the sources in our articles, as well as sources where we get information, as well as sources for getting more information on those topics. So it's a great way as a gateway for people who have interest in a topic to explore and learn more about that. In addition to the English language version, we also have a Spanish version. We have roughly 7 stories a day in Spanish that we do, which are the same stories as English, but we just translate them and deliver them in Japanese. We also do have video products. Once a day, we do a 60-second video, which takes one of our consumer news stories and turns that into a high-def video. And then we also do a Spanish version of that same video. So for those of you that are active in bilingual markets, we do have solutions for that. So that's kind of a quick overview of HealthDay, who we are and what we do. I certainly would be love to answer any questions that you may have, either now or later on. You can either direct them directly to us now or send them to Jeff and he can pass them to us and we can get you answers later on. But we're, as I say, super excited to be part of the exchange and are excited to be working with you all.
Excellent, Andy. Yeah, and just a quick reminder, if you have questions, drop them into chat or we'll open it up for questions at the end. And you can certainly ask anything that's on your mind. So thanks again. Great insights and about your offerings, Andy. In only a month or so of a content appearing on the site, we've seen already the nice volume, the variety of content you're producing and the quality of it. And by the way, a great option for those of you out there listening. I know WFMZ, one of our broadcast markets in Pennsylvania, has already stood up a health website or a health index page on their website with supplemented a lot with the content that Andy's team produces there. So great efforts. So we'll open it up for questions at the end. Let me go ahead and now introduce Stacker Product Leader, Vice President of Distribution, Ken Romano. Ken, can you talk to us more about Stacker?
Absolutely. So thanks, Jeff. Welcome to everybody. Good morning. My name is Ken, as Jeff said. I'm with Stacker. We are a 4-year-old data journalism startup that was founded to make data more accessible to publishers. Like Andy, we're here in service of publishers, similar to the AP and Reuters. I spent the last 8 years before I joined Stacker at AP, so I've seen how a lot of the challenges you all have to deal with on a daily basis. But I like to think that there's room for a whole lot of wire services to work with you because everybody has their own niche. Our niche is focusing exclusively on data and research-driven evergreen content, content that you could use at any point to help supplement your offering. A little bit more about us. So we are a team of journalists. We have doubled in size and revenue over the last year, and we just continue to reinvest all of that back into our newsroom and into our products. We actually just onboarded 4 new reporters and editors this week, so you will start seeing their bylines coming down pretty soon. When we think about, Jeff, you can go to the next slide. When we think about how our stories can help you, what can you do with Stacker stories? There are a few different things. One thing is acquiring new users. So with the stories that are data-driven and with the stories that are nice and buzzy and evergreen, we find that they work really well in your off-platform strategy for social, for newsletters. They're going to drive folks back to your site. Once they're then on your site, then it's going to increase the engagement because we tend to have those longer collections. It's also going to improve your monetization since you have the profits from those ads. The last thing which we've been really focusing on the past couple of months is expanding coverage around events and around news pegs. We've found in talking to a lot of publishers on this call and some of the other partners that we work with, that it's really important to kind of extend the life cycle of particular stories. And it's really important for you to be able to plan and execute against known events. So for example, everybody knows that the Winter Olympics is kicking off next week. We had all of those plans solidified at the beginning of January, circulated the plans to all of our publishing partners so they knew what was coming down the pike and they knew how Stacker could help supplement all of that coverage. When there's a big event in the news, I was listening to NPR this morning and heard about Amy Schneider unfortunately losing on Jeopardy. We have evergreen stories about the biggest winning champions in Jeopardy history, that particularly in Amy's home state of Ohio, you can use those stories to supplement the breaking news coverage that you're doing and extend the life cycle of that story for another 2 or 3 days. But to specifically talk about our local offering, which is probably going to be new to many of you, Jeff, you can go to the next slide. we have been really diving into making stories available, not just at the national level, but also at the local level. So today, very proud to announce that we have wires across all 50 states, all 384 MSAs across the country. So those stories are going to be a mix of a few of the things that you see on the screen here. We have a lot about real estate, a lot about quality of life. What is it like to live in your city, in your state? What's the education system like? What's the infrastructure like? Anything that anybody needs to know to kind of go about their day. And oftentimes rank, how does your state and how does your MSA compare to other neighboring ones? As I mentioned, we do a lot of news pegs. Sometimes they're specifically at the local level. Other times we're taking a national story like Amy, and we're distilling it down into a local version, just with a slight rewrite of the headline or a slight rewrite of the intro. So on the right-hand side, you could see a few examples of the stories that we do. The magic behind this is a mixture of our editorial expertise and a little bit of automation. I can assure you that we don't have any robots writing content, but we kind of lean into the technology, and our product team has built something that's really cool where our editors and our journalists will write the intro, will write all of the copy that appears at the beginning of those stories. And then below it, you'll see that it really is just a list of data, a nice listicle with journalistic credibility. And with that, we can leverage some automation in order to list out those data points. That allows us to scale, that allows us to easily get more stories to you for specifically your state and specifically your MSA. So on any given day, you're going to see usually 1 to 2 of these stories for your particular location. That's in addition to the 2 to 3 national stories that you would see in the town news feeds. Just a sneak preview, today we have a story across all 50 states about workers' compensation and all of the data around workers' compensation for your particular state tailored to you. So I am more than happy to tell you anything else that you're interested to know, either about Stacker, our journalism, our workflow, but just know that you can access all of this today in the Content Exchange, and we're eager to see you start using the content.
Excellent. But again, hold those questions, either drop them in chat or wait till the end, and we'll certainly get to as many as we have time for. So Ken, thank you. Great information. Excited to hear you adding reporters to your staff and more about your offerings. One quick anecdote about Stacker content. It's interesting to see the engagement time around the listicles approach, that collections approach to the reporting you do. And the same again for HealthDay as well. But right now we're seeing in some cases about 3 minutes per collection, which is obviously much higher engagement time than a traditional inverted pyramid story presentation. So it's sticky content, and audiences are definitely enjoying working with it. So thank you. We'll go ahead and keep moving along here in the spirit of time. As we had mentioned, our model is evolving in part because you want that from us. So we've talked about adding new sources and topics earlier at the top of the presentation. And obviously HealthDay and Stacker are 2 great examples of that ongoing effort. So our goal at the Exchange is to add 2 to 3 new sources each quarter. So we're out searching for, interviewing, and looking at options that are out there. We will certainly promote these new providers as well as share more insights about what they offer on future Exchange webinars. And some of that other evolution includes our focus on story packaging. You're going to see us increase our curation and packaging efforts around the content. In many cases, this is going to be our providers. It'll be your offerings through the TownNews Exchange. And we're going to leverage TownNews' dynamic collections approach to get that out to there. So we've had excellent success in driving more engagement time with the collections approach to organizing content. And everybody on this call, you'll directly benefit from that effort. So in the end, we're wanting to ultimately reduce your newsroom's workload and when it comes to leveraging, taking advantage of the exchange. So again, if you have questions or want us to review or take a look at your existing exchange setup on your websites, we have information at the end, our contact information on how you can reach out to us so we can follow up with you and make sure that you're taking full advantage of what we're offering. Speaking of offerings, we have video. You heard Isaac mention CNN video, and we do have some other sources of video. But coming soon, we're going to be adding, based on interviews with a lot of you when I first started late last year, video just kept coming up over and over as a top need. You wanted to see more scale, more videos added to your website. So we have signed an agreement with a well-known provider, Video Elephant. Funny name, but they provide more than 2,000 videos daily from sources like Reuters, AccuWeather, Sports Illustrated, Bloomberg, and more. So we'll plan to embed those videos and related articles. We'll build collections from that work. Again, we still have development work underway to fully integrate that into Field 59 and Town News, the platform. So plan on us talking a lot more about Video Elephant and their offerings on a future call. Something we call templated content or templated initiative. In other words, we, in the effort to package, are going to create more standalone sections that we can share with you that you can drop onto your website as an index page. We're going to target high interest, high engagement topics with this effort. And one thing that we'll be very sensitive to is trying to avoid any of those topics that might compete with what you're already doing locally. I think that's important to stress. So Feast and Field, our site for foodies, is the most recent example I wanted to share with you today. Some of you on the call may have already talked to me about that offline, but it's a recent example of an index page, a section that we're standing up on customer sites right now. The Feast and Field editorial team actually keeps the site updated with features and recipes. The good news, just like exchange content, you benefit from the page views and the engagement on your website. The only work required by your newsroom would be at setup, just helping us get that set up, adding it to your navigation, and then clearly we would need to promote it and do other things. So if you're interested in learning more, reach out to us offline, and I'll get you information and some collateral about Feast and Field, and be on the lookout for new topics, packaged templated content coming soon. Aaron, I'll go ahead and throw it back to you to kind of wrap up the session today.
Thanks, Jeff, and thanks to the whole panel. This is really outstanding stuff. We've got a lot of cool new content, and thanks for the overview of what's available in the exchange and how to use it. We do have a number of questions that have come in already. If you have a question, please type it into either the Q&A or chat box. We're monitoring both. The first question is, do any of the exchange agreements permit print publication as well, or is everything digital only?
The bulk of the content is digital only. There is a few cases of print use, and I'd encourage you to reach out offline with the specifics. But the majority of it, the spirit of this was intended for digital use.
Okay. A couple of questions about HealthDay. The first question, is the content US focused, or is it North American / global?
That's a great question. I would say roughly 30 to 45% of our content has a US slant to it. But the remaining part is applicable, we believe, globally. We have a number of our clients are actually overseas clients. One of the capabilities we have, all our content is tagged with metadata, and one of our topic flags is actually a US centric flag. So if you want to either include it or exclude it, it's possible to do that.
Okay, a couple of other questions about HealthDay. Jeff, I don't know, is there a way for you to show an example of either the video content that's available or an example of what HealthDay content looks like?
Yeah. Right now, the implementation work we're doing to bring in the video elephant videos will allow us to do that. So what I would suggest is we can showcase the HealthDay video product once we get that implementation work finished. I couldn't show that yet today.
Okay.
How about they want to see the text content? Do you have any examples of the text content?
I think they were asking specifically about the video offerings, right?
Well, there is another question. What does HealthDay look like on site? So once it's on a block site, what does the content look like?
Isaac, you want to take a pass at that answer?
Yeah, I don't know if you want me to share a screen, but it looks just like a simple article asset in blocks. All their content has a child image asset, which comes in at the top, and then you have the text below it. So it should appear and works on whatever your template setup is. It'll appear as a basic blocks article asset.
Okay, and can you also talk about a little bit about how content from third-party providers and from just the content exchange in general, what's the mechanism for it showing up on your site? There are a couple of questions about just how does it show up in the CMS? How do I get it into specific blocks on the page?
Well, first, and Isaac, I'll let you certainly follow. If you're not a Content Exchange member now, we just need you to sign a simple agreement to get, I'm assuming that's coming from a question from a new customer that's not. So we would get that set up. It does require a little importer work to do. And then beyond that, if you've got specific questions, certainly email and we can reach out one-on-one. But Isaac, anything more about the general appearance of how it appears for customers?
Yes, when folks join the Content Exchange, we set up a Content Exchange feed in the syndication tool, and it uses our blocks-to-block syndication. Any and all content that's available in the Exchange, folks can go in and search for what they want. You can then decide to import that manually by searching specifically for articles, or you can set up a content importer, which you will set your own query rules, and that's something that we can assist you with. If you ask us, certain topics or partners that you want content from, we can then build out a query rule and search for it specifically, and then it will automatically add to your site. And then based on how you have your block set up, then that content will automatically flow in. So in the example of if you wanted to stand up a health section, you would go into the Content Exchange importer and could import directly from the HealthDay partner section, and then have that automatically flow into that health section that you stood up on your site.
And Aaron, I think a lot of Content Exchange partners in the early days were manually looking for, searching, and down using the content. We'd encourage everybody today to set that importer up, have the correct query rules, and point that content at the appropriate section. Far more efficient way to take advantage of the Exchange. But again, you've got questions, reach out to us offline. We'd be happy to discuss what makes the most sense for you.
Well, another question came in. I think it's along similar lines, but it's about Stacker. The questioner says, Stacker has a lot of content. Is it easy to hunt for what I'm looking for? Is there an alert? Like, the example they give is, could I set up a Jeopardy news alert or something like that?
So Jeff and Isaac, I'll let you take finding it in the Content Exchange. But what I could tell you is we do have an alert product as well that will allow you to sign up for either your state or your beat, get alerted every morning each time that we publish new content. So I'm grabbing that URL. I'll throw it in the chat in a moment where you could sign up. And then Jeff and Isaac, if you want to talk about the Content Exchange.
Yeah, so again, we have all our third-party partners in their own sections, as well as their own keywords. So in the case of Stacker, there's a couple ways you could do it. Number one, you could select the Stacker partner section as your importer, and you would get everything that comes from that. If you wanted to narrow down the topics, Stacker does a great job of putting metadata on their content, so we know kind of what the topic of their specific collection is. So if you knew you wanted entertainment collections from Stacker, you could search for the keyword within that section and find what you wanted. But I would also recommend signing up for the alerts specifically from Stacker, and some of our other partners have services like that as well. And we can share those with you, and then you can get updates directly from the partner and then go in and search for it if that's the way you wanted to do things.
Okay, and how does distributed content like Feast and Field work within search? So I think they're wondering how the packaged content is going to work in search.
So it's going to appear just like with the importer set up. It'll be your article URLs. The canonical benefit of syndication. I don't know if I'm answering your question, but it's an integrated part. We're not actually linking you off to another website for that content. It'll flow onto your website. You add to the navigation links to get there. If you want you can certainly syndicate that content to other sections on your website as well. You've got a lot of flexibility in the setup, and again, giving a lot of individual needs and our customers having different setups, reach out offline and be more than happy to share more information or point you towards some customers right now and how they have it set up. There's no one single setup, I guess, for that beyond adding the section. You can do a lot of different things with it.
Okay. It looks like this covers the majority of the questions that have come in. Jeff, if you want to jump to the next slide.
There you go.
So if you're interested in learning more, please reach out to us. Where we really want to hear how we can help you. We can help benefit your newsrooms and audiences. You can contact Jeff and Isaac directly at contentexchange@townnews.com with any follow-up questions you may have. Jeff, did you have anything you wanted to add there?
Glad we're going to host these on a regular basis, so that we have a lot more interaction with our exchange customers. And again, for those of you on the call who you're not finding this content on your website, there's a great chance you may not have signed up for the exchange yet. And so please reach out to us and we'll get that started.
Great, thank you. If you want to advance one more slide. So speaking of keeping in touch with us, we have a variety of ways to stay connected. Documentation for everything we've discussed is available on our doc site, and that's at help.townnews.com. As always, you can reach our support line at 800-293-9576 or visit support.townnews.com. Our customer community is a great place to swap ideas with other Town News customers, and that's accessible at community.townnews.com. And you can follow the status of all of our services at townnews.status.io. You can sign up for alerts and see how everything's going over there. Follow us on social media on Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Thank you so much to the entire panel. If you have any questions about getting started with the Content Exchange, you can reach out to contentexchange@townnews.com, or you can contact your salesperson if you haven't yet started with the Content Exchange and want to get signed up. Please reach out to your Town News salesperson. Thank you so much to the panel. Any last words, Jeff?
Appreciate everybody's time. Great questions. We're excited about our new partners and the quality content they offer. So we're looking forward to seeing it used and driving more engagement.
Yes, and we will send out the webinar recording and post it to the website. Before the end of the week, you'll receive an email with the webinar recording. So keep a lookout for that, and please share it with anyone in your organization who you feel can benefit from it. Thank you very much, everyone. We will talk to you again soon.